Hey guys, welcome to the Sarah Sloan Show, where I'm showing and you're growing. All right, so this is my this is my first video podcast with a guest. Her name is Cameron, and she's crazy, dude. Cameron, I was saying that you kind of give off a Lucille Ball vibe.
Whoa. Yeah, I'll take that. I like that.
And you said you had heard it many a time before.
Yeah, my mom has told me that before.
Where is she?
She's in Australia. No, I've had that a couple times. My mom has said that. I think I used to get it in I don't know, either when I was a kid or something. I think it's just the big expressions.
Well, the eyes, the resemblance, the curly hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I think it's just and the teeth. I have big teeth. She's got big teeth.
Well, they're probably disintegrated by now.
Yeah, she's...
Lucille Ball's teeth are probably
was
not
she buried or was she... I was about to say, was she ashed?
She was ashed up. You know, that's right. She was...
what's that called again?
Cremated.
Cremated.
You really had trouble remembering that.
Yeah, I did. I was trying to say, was she reincarnated?
You want to know something crazy? Lucille Ball also had trouble remembering that word.
Really?
She could not remember the word cremated.
She's a baller. She's a baller. Yeah.
Well, okay, have you seen the show I Love Lucy?
I've actually never watched I Love Lucy in full. And I never watched any of the movies about Lucille Ball. Did you ever watch them? They did those movies a few years ago or a year ago.
Are you talking about the Amazon? Oh, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they did movies about her. Yeah. I never watched those.
But at least a documentary on Amazon Prime that Amy Poehler did, right?
No, literally I never did it. I never watched.
Okay.
So I guess I should.
You should.
Okay.
Okay, but the movie remake of them.
Yeah.
I did not watch that.
Okay, yeah, I didn't watch that. I never watched the documentary. I've only ever seen some bits of I Love Lucy. I don't know why, when because my mom always thought that, and I really rebelled against the Lucille Ball reference.
Well, okay.
I don't know why. I think it's just because that's what my mom said.
And where is she again?
What people said. She's in Australia.
Yeah, so what she says doesn't really count right now. Okay.
She's down under.
Is she down under?
She's...
Okay, so you can do a straight up Australian accent. That's no problem for you.
Yeah, I actually can.
Okay, so okay, for the next minute, we're just going to talk and just...
Yeah, go ahead. You just ask me whatever you want.
It's so nuts. I really want to be able to do that accent, and I have so much trouble with it.
You just go If you drop... Okay, wait. Now I'm not in it right now. Hey, how are ya? Did you ever watch Anchorman 2?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, there's a bit in it where there's an Australian and he comes out and he's like, "How the bloody hell are ya?" And everybody thinks that he doesn't say anything, but he actually does say something. He says, "How the bloody hell are you?"
Whoa.
Yeah, but it just sounds like, "How the bloody hell are ya?" So you basically just drop all the R's.
Okay.
Drop any pronunciation and just make it really lazy. Your mouth is just hanging and you're like, "Hey, how are you? How you going, mate? How you been? What's happening there?"
Give it a second. Okay, it's still going.
Hey, Papa, how are ya? Fetch me a beer, mate. Hey, mate, how you going?
If you don't mind,
It's actually really hard for me to do it now.
Why? Because I made you think about it too much?
No, because I've been away from Australia for so long and I feel like I don't see Australians anymore.
Okay. Tell me the timeline. So you were born where?
Do I still have to do an accent?
No, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, rest of the episode, if you don't mind.
So I was born in Georgia.
Okay.
I was adopted by an American-Australian couple. So my mom is American, my dad is Australian, and they were living in California. So they adopted me when I was little, like a baby. And then, like a baby, I was a baby. I wasn't like a baby. I was mentally a baby.
You're acting like a baby right now.
They adopted me from Georgia, and then I moved to California with them. And then I was a California girl until I was 7. And then we moved to Australia. So I spent most of my life in Australia in a place called Queensland.
Okay.
That's the state.
From 7 to...
7 till I moved to LA at the start of 2020, so I was 21 or 22 at that point.
So Georgia, LA, Australia, LA.
Yes.
Now Texas.
Now Austin, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Austin, I moved here July of last year.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
What are just some ways that life is different in Australia than America that you can think of?
I mean, the obvious, like, it's a little more, well, it's a Commonwealth country, so it's like we have completely political systems different. So we, have healthcare, universal healthcare. Don't want to get political on that, but yeah, we have universal healthcare. Life is like pretty easy and comfortable for the most part.
Yeah.
But like the biggest cultural difference is in Australia there's like this thing called tall poppy syndrome, which is like an Australian term for no one ever wants you to like achieve past like a certain point. Like they want everybody to kind of be at the same level. So the whole thing comes from like being the tallest poppy. Like they want to cut down the tallest poppy so that everybody's at the same height. So it's just like you can only grow so far. So I love Australia. Like it's like it was the most beautiful place to grow up. But just in terms of like where I saw my life going, there just wasn't as much like opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's like the biggest cultural difference is like you come to America and like even though you see like the lowest of the lows here and you also see like the highest of the highs, whereas like in Australia it's just everything is kind of one level and it's nice and it's pretty, but it's like, okay, what else? Like this is just not really, I don't know, it's like it's not really an emotion. You're just living in comfortability. Like it's kind of fun to live somewhere where it is uncomfortable and like you have to work hard to like make it.
But that's kind of nuts.
It's like also a really privileged thing to say, but like
no, I don't think that's privileged.
It's different. It's very different. I mean, I think people in Canada would probably say the same thing. Like I like meet a lot of Canadians who kind of feel the same too. Like it's like you come to America because there's more opportunity. Like it is the land of opportunity.
It is, and it's like, but I'm sure a lot of people in Australia are fine with that cap.
Oh, absolutely.
But you were different, and you wanted more.
Yeah, both of my parents are entrepreneurs. So, context of like my parents, my dad grew up very poor in Australia. Like, didn't get Christmas presents. Didn't graduate high school. He went into the Air Force, and then when he came out, he like expected that that would set him up for like jobs and stuff, but it really didn't.
Oh dang.
Didn't have anything, and he like used all his money to just like book a one-way flight to America, which he did, and then was like he slept at LAX for like a couple days because he like didn't know what to do. He didn't know anybody.
Oh, wow.
But my dad like moved to America like at a really like amazing time in the 80s when it was like Crocodile Dundee had just come out. My dad looks like Paul Hogan, like almost exactly like Paul Hogan, who plays Crocodile Dundee. So my dad just like kind of couch surf place to place and then met like a lot of people who like set him up. And then my dad started real estate and got like very into it and was very successful in it. And then my mom was an entrepreneur from a young age. She started her own business when she was like 16. She was a pro windsurfer. And she... Did you say pro? She was a professional windsurfer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know why it sounded like a combined word. A pro windsurfer.
A pro windsurfer. I know, it kind of did sound like that. She was a professional windsurfer. And she liked... there was like a certain brand of sporting goods.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like a European brand that wasn't in America, and my mom like went to Europe and just went, I'm going to be the one to bring all this equipment back to the US, and she did it. And she did that when she was like 16, and then went off and did other things there. So I had parents who were very like, don't sit and wait, whatever you want to do, like it's possible, like go out and do it, like don't sit around and wait for something to happen. So even though we like moved to Australia, where my parents were very aware that life was just comfortable there, they were always like, you have to go out and like make the most of like what you want, like you can do whatever you want to do, like nothing's impossible. So that's why I like moved out here. And like my parents have always been very supportive of like me following my dreams and like whatever like interests me. They're like, yeah, do it, like you can always find a way. So it was nice having parents like that in Australia, because that's like what pushed me to do that stuff.
Yeah.
To get out there. Did that answer your question?
That answered it very well.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, no. And your personal ambitions, because not everybody knows, are what?
Nothing really at the moment.
Podcast over. Thank you guys
That's
so
it,
much
actually. Actually moving back to Australia. No, well, I moved out to LA because I went to drama school in Australia, so I wanted to be an actor. Had a bad time in drama school, did not enjoy it. I was the youngest in my class, so I was 17, and a lot of the people in my year in drama school were like 22 to 27 was like the eldest, which like that's like a huge age difference when you're like, you know, 17, and then everyone's like, there's some people who are 10 years older than you. Like,
yeah.
So it was a huge age difference, and I think like I was trying really hard to act older than I was, and wasn't really being true to myself. Also just like didn't really know who I was at all. So it was like a really weird time. And then I graduated, and I didn't get any, when you graduate drama school, you go on a thing called Showcase, and you showcase, like there's like every drama school is different, but they typically do like a scene, like a film scene that you film, and then they do like, you get on stage and you do like a scene on stage.
Okay.
And then agents come and watch that. And I was like the only person in my year who didn't get an agent, which was like, I think kind of surprising for some people. Like I just didn't get any attention. And then we didn't move. We came to America to do a showcase in America. And at that point I was like a mess, because I was like, I must be horrible. Like nobody wants to watch me.
Gosh.
Nobody likes me. Was very like, just really didn't know who I was at that point or anything like that. And we did a showcase there, and I landed a manager. Very grateful for that still to this day, that something happened. But I did that, and then decided to move to LA after that, since I didn't get anything in Australia. But still was just like very confused, still didn't like really know who I was and what I was doing in acting, and kind of felt pretty lost in LA. And like, this is such a tangent from your question, but like I'm trying to answer this as best as I
this is
possibly
interesting.
can. I just like didn't know what I was doing, and it didn't really set me up for success, because I didn't know what I wanted, and because I didn't know what I wanted, it made me like hate acting. And so I was in LA for like 3 years, auditioning for things that like probably really didn't suit me at all. Going and doing like commercial auditions, just was doing stuff that like really didn't like align with me at all. But I think it's because I didn't really have a concrete goal of like what I actually wanted.
Yeah.
So I started making like my own films, and I really enjoyed making films and stuff, and through that kind of figured out like my voice a little more. And then still decided to take a break from acting, and then the past year I've been like kind of figuring out, like starting from scratch, like kind of going back to the beginning of, okay, why did I even follow this career path in the first place? Like, what actually was it that, like, sparked my interest in acting in the first place? And is it actually not acting at all? Was it something else that I was interested in? And then I took this path of acting. So I've spent the last year, like, trying to figure out, like, okay, what is it that I actually want? So, long story short, yeah, I'm like, I took a year off to, like, figure that out, and somehow I've, like, found comedy stuff through that. So right now, my goals and my dreams and my aspirations are just to have fun. As dumb as that sounds.
That's really dumb, dude.
It's really stupid. But right now, it's like, it's to have fun in, like, exploring my craft again.
No, I'm joking.
But
yeah,
but it is stupid. Like, that sounds so stupid. Every time, like, someone says, like, what's your goal? I'm like, oh, just, like, having fun. But, like, I didn't have fun doing it. Like, the past, like, 10 years of doing acting, I hated it. Like, I've met everything with resistance and have just, like, hated it every step of the way. So now it's like, okay, I like performing. Like, I know that I like performing. So I'm just like, I'm gonna learn to have fun with it, not put the pressure on it.
Yeah.
Like, treat it how I did in high school drama, where, like, you're just like, this is the most fun thing I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's so stupid. And I hope that answers your question.
No. I think, okay, so yeah, that's your goal right now. Because, you know, a lot of people that are pursuing acting, it would be that they just want to become
to get
like
on a TV
big
show.
Movies or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And by the way, like, that's fine. Like, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, you may actually end up getting to that same route, but you want to go about it a healthy way, is what it sounds like. And so if that means it might take a few years longer, well, then it's going to be more sustainable regardless.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, like, I don't necessarily know if, like, acting is, like, the path that I'm, like, exploring right now. That's more like a thing that I'm just like, oh, I like doing that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that, like, I do. Like, like, I don't know if I want to do movies or I want to do TV shows. I'm just allowing it to exist in a place where it's like, if I get an audition, like, I'll go and do the audition. If someone said, do you want to do a play? I'll do the play. Because and maybe I should have, like, explained, I should have started from a different point when I was bringing this up. But, like, when I was actively pursuing acting as, like, a career, like, trying to make that a career, I came at everything with, like, a sense of ego and, like, pride, where it was like, I have to be not famous, but, like, I have to be successful in this. Like, it has to be my job. It has to be, and if it wasn't anything but that, then I had failed, which made me hate it.
Wow.
And I was, like, seeing people around me who had, like, done really well, and that made it even worse for me. Like, because it was like I had such a bruised ego, and the ego with, like, a low self-esteem because I didn't know who I was, and then I also had, like, these really ridiculously high expectations for myself. It at a certain point, you just lose the love for the thing that you set out to do. Yeah. So, like, it just made me very lost, which is why, like, I just stripped everything back to figure out, like, okay, why have I spent the last 10 years doing this? Because where I started versus where I was a year ago, those things were, like, so far apart that I didn't even know the person I was when I, like, started it. And that person is probably closer to who I am now than the person I was a year ago. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like I think as you get older and you're mature, you're more like the person you were when you were a kid. Because you've learned to, like, get rid of ego, and you've learned to get rid of, like, setting these ridiculously high expectations for yourself because now you know the way the world works. And I don't know, like, it's a weird thing that I'm figuring out, but it's been really nice for me kind of connecting back to who I was when I was a kid, where I was like, I just liked being silly on stage. And I think to circle back to your very first question about the Lucille Ball thing, I think that was why that was like so nice for me to hear from you the other night, because that's what my mom used to say to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And back when I like loved performing.
Yeah.
And that to me was like a sign of like, oh, I'm myself again. I'm being who I am again, rather than like this person who was just so beaten by the industry and like, oh, you have to be this, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to look like this, you're supposed to be like this, you're supposed to say this, you're supposed to think this. Like, I felt like a product at that point, whereas now I feel like I'm being more my authentic self. So I'm setting up boundaries and barriers for myself of like, I'm not going to do it the way the industry wants me to do it. I'm not going to do it the linear route of like, you must do XYZ to be successful. Like, I'm just like, no, if I don't feel like it today, I'm not going to do it today.
Dang.
Like, I'm just trying to make sure it's like everything comes from a place of fun. It's not coming from a place of stress or fear or ego or anything like that. Like, it has to come from like a pure place of joy and like love for doing it. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
And you're at your happiest whenever you are on stage in the act, or when you are preparing, or when are you at your happiest point?
I think it depends on like what the thing is. Like, I can think of like times in my life where maybe like I've been most like happy with acting, like my performances or like what I've done. I don't know if that's a good way to answer that. If that
No,
helps
yeah.
you.
So it sounds like almost like the overall product, like the overall like yeah. After the fact, you kind of a distant memory.
No, I think it's like if I'm like reflecting on it right now, like when is like the happiest when I'm doing it? That I'm the happiest when I'm like authentic about it. When I'm like experiencing everything in the present and like in a pure way.
Yeah.
Rather than like, because it's not the end. It's not the end product. It's like, I guess the act of like doing and being present while doing it is when I feel the happiest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling present. There's only a handful of times where I feel like I've been like truly present and loved it, and then I've just like ridden the high of that.
When you weren't being present, then the overall level of joy was lower. Whenever you were being present, it raises, like, so each aspect of it, your authentic self raises up the level of joy. That's what I'm kind of, that's what I'm picking up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like also when like I'm able to, I think like something I've learned about like maybe just like people who perform in general, like you experience the joy of it when your ego's out of the way, like, and you're not being egotistical. Like I don't really see how anybody can enjoy anything if they have such a big ego.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Because I don't think you're present when you have an ego.
Because, yeah, whenever I think about, like, who the best actors are, typically it's the people that can look the stupidest, can do, like, the craziest stuff, and they're not afraid at all, versus the very, like, stoic actors. Like, okay, maybe I just haven't seen enough of his movies, but Brad Pitt, like, Everything he does, he's cool, calm, collected. He never looks like a freak. And I really respect the people that are willing to look like freaks. And just a little bit of acting that I've seen you do, you are willing to look like a freak. And so automatically...
I am a freak.
You're a freak. But no, I respect that so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely, like, you enjoy it, acting, performing, whatever it is. Like, I think the same thing applies to comedy with, like, my very little knowledge of, like, being on stage doing comedy. But you enjoy it when you're more concerned about, and concerned's not the right word, but you enjoy it when the intention is, whether it's like a dramatic role or a comedic role, like, you enjoy it when you're moving the audience, whether that means, like, you're making the audience laugh or you're making the audience feel something. And that to me is like, okay, you enjoy it when you're being selfless, like you're giving yourself to a performance. Like,
wow, that's
like,
good.
And that for me is like, that's what's important. So if I'm in my head and I'm being egotistical, I'm more concerned with myself, I'm not going to enjoy it. And in turn, the audience is probably not going to enjoy it either.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question. I feel like I'm going, oh, just an interesting question. That makes me think of this.
Yeah,
But,
by the way, if you keep on doing this where you're not answering my question.
I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah, hey guys, podcast over. Cameron sucks as a guest, but she's
I'm
really good at
a
acting.
really bad guest, guys.
But great at acting. Great at acting. No, I think all of what you're saying is very interesting. Like, I so admire the skill of acting and all that. And because, you know, you see shows like Seinfeld, for example, where the comedian is the star of the show and he can't act. Jerry.
Yeah.
And so he gets better as he goes. Like,
Yeah.
from season 1 to season 9, he's obviously progressed. But then you're watching such solid actors as his, in the side roles or whatever it's called, Elaine and George Costanza. And like, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And so they pretty much carry the show.
Yeah.
But he's the reason they made the show, so it's like Jerry's the reason, so you kind of have to just deal with it. So Jerry Seinfeld, great actor, great comedian, terrible actor, and I don't know where I was going with that either. So yeah, I guess we're kind of both doing this.
We're both like, and yeah.
But no, the point, I think the overall point was just like, that show is one where I've seen the huge discrepancy of skill in acting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And also, I think people don't appreciate how difficult it is. There's a reason there's drama schools. Because you being schooled by drama.
They got to school them. Yeah, I think it's I'm like thinking about the Seinfeld thing now. I'm like, I've never really thought about that.
Because you don't think.
Yeah, I don't. I actually never. This is the first time I've used my brain all day.
And I can tell.
Yeah, I can.
We
tell
all
too.
can.
We
Guys,
can all tell.
Can everybody tell?
I can really tell. I can definitely tell. I'm nervous, and I'm.
You're a snake?
That was me word vomiting.
You're a snake
as
now?
a snake.
Okay. So like, yeah, I remember I took a couple of drama classes in high school, and I was like really excited for the potential of something like that because I couldn't find myself, my identity and all that in high school. I couldn't figure out what I was good at. I sucked at everything. I was subpar at everything. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I could do this. And then the teacher had meetings with us on how the class could improve, and I was actually honest about it. And after that, she was done with me. Like, she didn't let me do anything.
How did you think she could improve?
I think I was saying, like, you're just picking your favorites, but there's some people that, like, you might think they're, like, the athlete, the jock, and they actually have a lot of skill, and you're just looking over them just because they're not your favorite.
You wanted, like, a High School Musical moment.
Pretty much.
Like,
that was my Troy.
You wanted the nerdy little Sarah to smooch the handsome Troy Bolton.
Which,
is that his name?
Yeah, Zac Efron, like, He's not cute anymore.
No, I think he had an accident though.
I know, but like, he's still not cute
You're
anymore.
not cute.
Yeah, and like, sorry.
Yeah.
By the way, you had a chance at this when you were, and the train has passed.
Wait, but okay, so then I have a question
Yeah.
for you. Did doing drama in high school make you interested in comedy? Do you feel like those two things, like you doing drama, like theater class or whatever, did that make you interested in comedy? Like, is that how you found comedy, or no?
No, well, okay. I think maybe the only correlation that there was there was going to be an improv group, and that was within the drama class, and it was an off branch of the drama class.
Okay.
And so then I tried out for the improv group, and I was just trying to be very silly and funny, and they said I was just like really weird, and and so they didn't let me in, and then once again I was just like, dang, I really can't find my place. I remember I was a senior in high school. I tried even the debate class. I tried oral interpretation, which, yeah, if people don't know, you're like holding like a black binder, and you're just like,
yeah,
like reading through it. And so I did one where it was like I was a flight attendant, and you were supposed to be physical in it. And so I was pretending the whole time while I was speaking to be unloading the food cart. So I was just bending down and handing them stuff, bending down, handing them stuff the entire time. And everybody was just dying laughing, but it was a graded thing. I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what else to do. And so then I realized I sucked at that. And then, in college, I also tried for improv again, and they told me I was just, like, literally, this was emailed to me, I was just, like, too much. They just said, you went way too over the top. It was just a lot for us, and we just don't want you in the group.
What?
Yeah, and so...
Like, what did you do?
I went pretty crazy, dude.
Whoa.
I was pretty crazy.
I hated improv.
Improv sucks.
School. It, like, terrified me.
Anybody that does improv, hey, let me go find you a cliff. I'm going to lead you off it. I'm not bitter. Bye, improv people. Bye.
Yeah, they are a little annoying. I used to live near UCB in LA, and I used to work right next to UCB. UCB's like Upright Citizen Brigade.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Isn't that where like all the SNL people?
Well, some of them.
Okay.
It's like Amy Poehler and like some other people. Can't remember.
Losers?
I just don't like. No, really good people. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I'm going to say the wrong people. Matt Walsh and like, I think they used to own it. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, I used to work right next to them, and anytime I saw the improv kids, I didn't like it. They were weird.
They're
They
weird.
were kind of like you, actually.
Shut up. Are you being serious?
No.
Okay, good.
No, they were like cool kids who were like, oh, I do improv. And I was like, oh, okay. They were probably really good. I'm being really mean right now, and I'm acknowledging that I'm being mean.
And the fact, like, your meanness is improv right now. And so, yes, and?
Yes, and they suck.
Yes, and? Seriously, I have the cliff that I can lead you off of.
Stop doing that.
Yeah. Yes, and?
Yes, no.
And
jump.
I just think... Okay, well, I'm sorry. Like, I'm into stand-up. They're into improv. Who's going to sell more tickets? Stand-up sells way more tickets than improv ever could.
Yeah, like furries go to improv shows. But like, you know, like furries and like guys who go like princess.
Ew, I hate
like
that.
Like those guys.
I don't like that
That's
you did
like
that.
what I think.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
those are the people that I think go to improv shows.
Well, no, and I'm very excited to see like your rise in stand-up comedy. I also think you do have an advantage. Not a bad. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I think it's a positive.
No, you said advantage, so I think that's a positive.
Okay. No,
yeah, there's no part of me who's like, oh, that's mean.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing because you already have the stage presence and you're good at memorizing stuff. And then, I think it's just like writing and punchlines and all that kind of junk.
Thank you.
I think the biggest mistake people make whenever they're starting out, and I literally like technically I'm still a baby in it, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but this is my opinion. They go up and they just start telling stories that they think are funny because they told them at a party and people laughed a lot.
I hate it when people do that.
It doesn't translate onto stage.
It doesn't work. It doesn't.
No, and that's why I never thought that I could do it, by the way. Like everybody, I was a class clown in high school.
Wow.
Everybody laughed whenever I would talk. And I was popular because I was funny. So people, they didn't mind having me around. But then they were like, you should be a comedian. And I heard that. I know everybody hears that all the time.
That's really, because I actually don't know how you got interested into comedy. So
okay.
I actually think it's very, I've like never thought of asking you.
Well, no, it doesn't, like, it's really not an in-depth story. It's
but I think it's cool. Like, to me, it's very, tell me about it.
Well, no, and then but yeah, like I said, loss of identity, but everybody thought I was funny, but I was just like, hey, it's one thing to like just be funny talking to people. It's another thing to be funny on stage. You know, I respected that. And it's not just talking on stage like what people think comedy is.
Yeah.
And so then I remember whenever I was in college, there was this stand-up comedy contest. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to just try it. What's the harm? And I'm kind of doing what I said you shouldn't do, where I was just like telling funny stories, like, about my relationship with my mother, and they were laughing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if they were laughing at me or with me, which is kind of funny to think about.
That's so funny.
I did not make it onto the show, but I went and I watched the show.
Yeah.
And they were pretty funny. Everybody on there was pretty funny. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I need to freaking try this. And then I went to this church group. There was a guy that everybody said was very funny, and he was starting out in comedy. And so then we tried it out, like, together, I think a total of 3 times. And after that, I said, I'm just going to stop. And because I didn't know what I was doing on stage.
Interesting.
And so then 6 years later, I actually got into it.
Wow. So it took you 6 years.
I was even thinking the improv route. I was thinking,
wow.
So I would beg my mother, like, can I go to Chicago and do one of these improv schools, Second City and all that stuff? And
during those 6 years, did you get into comedy more? Like you started like watching comedians more, or
not really?
No, really.
Yeah. I honestly don't watch a lot.
Interesting.
I've been watching more now than ever before, just because I'm here in Austin.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I really didn't watch that much, and that was probably mostly like religious reasons, just like, oh, it's very perverted, I don't want to watch that. But I didn't have an understanding of stuff. But it was funny whenever I tried it, like the first 3 times. And I still have those videos, and I watch back, and I'm like, dang, I was not, like, that was rough.
Wow.
I remember whenever I would riff, people laughed. And so I remember this one guy, he went up and he was like, I actually lost 40 pounds. And I was like, yeah, I'm the opposite of him. I gained 40 pounds. And I was like, interesting. People are laughing at that. And then I also did a Wanda Sykes impression. Everybody laughed at that. And so then I was just like, okay, that's interesting. But my actual material, quote unquote, nobody laughed at.
Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Wow, I didn't realize you took like a 6-year break from the time that you were like interested in it.
Yeah, when I like first tried. Yeah.
Wow.
I just didn't. And then also, I think.
But now you've done it consistently for what, 3-4 years?
No, 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah. August 2022.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Elvis Presley.
I love that. That was really good. I actually
you.
thought he was in the room just then. I felt him like come through you.
He's dead, Cameron.
His spirit.
Lives
I felt
on.
it.
Lives
I saw you do that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, how do you memorize lines?
That's a good question.
I'm just thinking of how you're not going to answer the question. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
No!
You're going to find a way to not answer the question.
Sorry. I memorize lines by... it's actually really interesting. Brie Larson recently did like a thing where someone asked her that, and she said she like can't read she can't memorize lines by herself. She has to be like reading them out loud with other people, and usually isn't able to start doing it until like she gets the table read or something like that. And that's kind of the same as me. Like I can't like sit down by myself and memorize lines. I memorize them by like doing them.
Wow.
So like if I'm doing a play, I have to hold the script with me in rehearsals, and then once we have the blocking down, then I remember my lines.
So it could be like a 10-minute monologue.
Yeah, I have to stand and I have to like move around and like block it before I can memorize it. I can't, and I have to read it out loud. Yeah, it has to be. I can't like sit there and like there's a lot of different ways that people are like, cut out all the punctuation and sit there and circle words and do this and do that. And it's like, no, I just have to stand there and like talk it through and move.
Dang.
I have to like physically read it out loud.
Is there any point where you're like, okay, you memorized it, you're about to perform, you blank? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, it happened in the 6th grade when I was doing The Wizard of Oz. And I was the wizard, and I got to the bit where I had to, go like, and you, Tin Man, you've always had a heart, and Scarecrow, you've always had a brain. And I lost my brain, my heart, and my courage.
Oh, Cameron.
And then I was like, there's no place like home. Get me off the stage and drive me home, Mom.
Cameron.
That happened. No, my friend Emma, who was Dorothy, she moved her microphone and she fed all my lines into my ear and I read them. I just said them.
But that's it. So that sounds like that was the only time that ever happened.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever blanked my lines.
Wow.
I've like blanked like in scenarios where like you're like improvising a show, but you like know like the general like it's gonna be like this and this, and I've like blanked like, oh, what's next? Like, was it this thing or was it this thing? Like I've blanked like in terms of like, bah. But usually when you blank, it's because you're not being present. You're like thinking about something else.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like blanking isn't necessarily a reflection of like you don't know your lines. It's more of a reflection of you're not like physically present.
You mean mentally present? Because you was physically
Mentally present.
Literally present. Theoretically present.
My body was not there.
And that was half the problem.
My brain it was only my brain.
Only my brain was there, but like my body wasn't. And so like I couldn't like
It's been a long day.
I know it has,
Yeah.
but how many times are you going to say that? It's a podcast. We're trying to
I've
have fun
only
here.
said it. That's the first time I've said it's been a long day.
Lupe, how many times has she said it now? Yeah, Lupe freaking said that you said it 12 times now.
My bad. I'm sorry, Lupe.
I looked at your arm for a half second and it was partially covered. I was
Lupe,
like,
what'd you say about me? Sorry, continue. I just heard him say something really rude.
him? Lupe's a female. I just don't get your hate on Lupe.
She has a very deep voice.
It is, yeah, it's so deep that like you can't even hear it.
Oh, I thought this was like a bit where you were like gonna like record it like afterwards.
Lupe. Lupe is my name and Lupin's my game.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a friend that well actually in my last place of work I had 2 coworkers and they were both drama majors, so they had studied it, and then one of them had actually taught it. The other one taught art, and so it was just always very funny talking to them about it. And I would ask like, how do you memorize your lines? And they like wouldn't like really answer me, and it really ticked me off.
Interesting.
And I was just like, answer the question, Damita.
Did I answer it right?
You did.
Cool.
So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Everybody has a different way. Like I knew people who were like they had to sit by themselves and learn their lines.
Yeah, well, okay, so back to I Love Lucy. Apparently her husband, Desi Arnaz, Ricky Ricardo on the show, would read it once and would go up and do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts. That
I
is
know people
nuts.
like that too.
How do people do that?
I don't know. I can learn them very, like, it takes me probably one session of, like, blocking out things with, like, if I have a scene, if we block it out one time, go through it, then I probably know the lines at that point.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. But then the second, like if I'm doing a play, and I haven't done a play in a very long time, if I'm doing a play and I've learned all the lines. The second the play is done, lines are gone.
Whoa.
Yeah, like-
you just throw it out.
Yeah, it's like my brain's like, okay, I don't need that anymore.
Dang.
Yeah, couldn't. And sometimes I'll remember things, like they'll like pop into my head and I'll be like, oh yeah, this was this. Like for some reason I can remember an Applebee's commercial. That's like the only thing I can remember. Why am I a fan of Applebee's fan favorite chicken and shrimp? It's so yummy and delicious, and those flavors just spark my senses. I almost forgot what I was doing.
I love Applebee's, said no one.
Why am I a fan of Applebee's fan
Said no one.
I've been to Applebee's a couple times and I've always been constipated afterwards.
Yeah, it's not great.
And I haven't had the fan favorite chicken and shrimp.
Like,
So I don't know if it's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fake. I think of Applebee's like I think of Walmart. Like, you know, they're like subpar, but like they're cheap and it will give you what you need.
Yeah.
And I'm willing, like I love Walmart, but I'm not willing to do that for restaurants. Like that's where I draw a line.
Yes, I get you.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't go to a Cracker Barrel?
Stop. Cracker Barrel's different. Are you trying to equate Applebee's and Cracker Barrel?
I would have thought I would have thought they were in like the same category.
Why would you even say that, dude?
What about okay? So where does Outback Steakhouse fall?
I would say slightly above.
Above which one? Cracker Barrel?
Okay, so it's Applebee's lower. Cracker
Yeah.
Barrel a little bit.
Okay.
No, a lot above. What the freak? A lot above. And then Outback on top of that.
Do you put Applebee's in the same thing, like an IHOP or a Denny's, or is okay? So that for you is in the same realm.
Yep. What about you?
I think that it's like IHOP and Denny's, Waffle House here, and then I think Applebee's is like ever so slightly above.
You know what you're saying is nuts. You're gonna equate IHOP and Waffle House. You're really gonna do that, Lupe. She's gonna freaking do that.
Where would you put Waffle House?
Waffle House, you could freaking get shot. IHOP isn't great, but like you're not gonna get shot in an IHOP.
What Waffle House are you going to?
Waffle Houses are not safe, dude. I've only been one time in my life.
This is really shocking to me. I've been to these restaurants in where would you put a Yard House?
I don't even know what that is.
Yardbird. Yard House, Yardbird.
I don't know what that is.
I think it's called Yard House. Oh, okay, interesting. Now I'm just thinking of all the other restaurants like that.
Yeah. Chili's, by the way.
Oh yeah, Chili's.
Chili's is one where, okay, it's definitely above Applebee's. It's certainly below Outback. Oh, maybe it's a different style of Cracker Barrel, but they're maybe at the same level.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Well, Chili's doesn't have a gift shop, and Cracker Barrel does. So, from that perspective, I'd maybe put Cracker Barrel above a Chili's.
So the gift shop elevates the level for you.
Yeah, there's something about it. Also, the atmosphere of a Cracker Barrel is maybe a little more fun than a Chili's.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, and also, like, yeah, you know I'm a little frugal. Like, I try to be careful where I spend my money.
Yeah.
They really rip you off at Chili's with some of their appetizers.
Okay.
There's a mozzarella stick appetizer. I'm not kidding you. They give you, like, probably 3 for, like, $10.
I haven't tried those.
It is fried cheese. How much does that cost? Fried cheese. It's just like, what are we actually paying for at this point?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where have you been to a Chili's in Austin?
No.
Me neither.
You know where I really want to go in Austin?
Where?
BJ's.
I've not been to BJ's.
Ever in your life?
I've never been to a BJ's. I've never even been to an Outback Steakhouse.
Okay, the Outback I can understand because you're like from Australia, so you're trying to like make a point and try to be like something unique and special, but like nobody's falling for it, right, Lupe? But like the BJ's, that's crazy, dude.
No, I've never been. Can I tell you something though?
Yeah.
I have a group of friends where we like always joke about going to Outback Steakhouse. You might have to cut this out, but I
Okay,
really
go
need
ahead.
to
Just
tell
do it.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
We talk about going to Outback Steakhouse on Martin Luther King Day. That's
I don't
like
get it.
MLK Day. There's no bit. It's just every year we're like, hey, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day is coming up. Should we go to Outback Steakhouse as the tradition goes? I don't know. I just felt like telling
I just
you about
don't
that.
get it. Like,
There's
I'm
nothing
trying to understand.
There's nothing to get. Like, it's
Okay,
just stupid.
okay.
But
Okay, that's funny. Actually, thank you for saying Martin Luther King Day, because that was the bit that I had forgotten.
you have a bit?
I have a bit. It may not work,
Okay.
but I want to do a bit where I'm just like, okay, I want to roast someone that's like never really roasted. I want to roast Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh.
And so then I'm just like, Martin Luther King Jr. You had a dream? Quit talking about it so much. Like that kind of
I
thing.
like that. That's funny.
Something like that. Where it's just like,
that's funny. I like that.
yeah, I want to do it.
I actually really like that.
And I had forgotten it. It was one of those, like, sometimes you have something in your mind, and if you don't write it down immediately, it's gone.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. That's something I'm learning lately. Is like the second
To
you
just-
have an idea, you have to write it down.
You have to, and more than half the time, you're going to read it back later and hate it.
Yeah, but at least you wrote it down. Do you want to write it down?
I kind of want to, but at the same time, I'm going to listen back to this.
Okay,
and so
and
it'll
then you'll
remind
write
me
it down.
again.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I'll remind you later too
Thanks, dude.
to write it down.
Because what we have going right here is really good.
Do you think so? I can't tell if you're being genuine.
This is like probably the best thing that's ever happened. Not anymore.
That's quacking.
Cluck, yeah.
I knew I was gonna screw up one time.
Okay,
There's one
no,
time
yeah.
it was gonna happen, and there it is.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
My parents will love it.
Thanks.
Namaste. He told he.
I can't do that voice after the absolute show.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta watch what voices I do.
That was funny.
Was it?
I thought, yeah, it was very funny. You did very good at that.
Thanks.
What's up with the ascot?
This?
Mhm. I'm not criticizing
I'm
it, by the
actually
way.
not really sure. I just put it on this
Okay,
morning.
I'm not criticizing it.
I don't
Yeah.
normally do this, so this is new.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's not new, but I actually just put it on. There's no rhyme or reason for it.
Yeah.
It's just on my body.
Did you get it from Jared's or something?
I actually think it's an Amazon bandana that I got at a party, and I put my name on it. So somewhere on this is my. Hold on.
No, you don't. No, you don't have to
No,
do
I'll
that.
show
You don't
it.
have to do that.
If I can take it.
You really
off.
want to do that?
I actually can't. Wait.
You want to do this? Do it. Okay. There was one time, let's see. There was oh. That's your name.
It's Cam.
You really prefer to be called Cam.
No, I actually don't. Well, is that a question?
Let's make it one.
You want to make it a question?
Let's make it a question.
No, no one ever used to call me Cam, and my parents don't call me Cam. They call me Cameron, and you call me Cameron, and some other people call me Cameron. But I don't know. I think since I started like trying different things like comedy and stuff, I feel like it's just I feel more confident as Cam than I do as Cameron.
Really?
Yeah. But I sometimes introduce myself as Cameron. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think you introduced yourself to me as Cam.
I don't know what I did. I think when I'm like comfortable with people, I introduce myself as Cameron. When I'm like trying to have like an air of confidence, I think I typically introduce myself as Cam. Because I'm not a confident person, so I just like it's almost like a way to like hide behind something like, oh, Cam is like safe.
Okay. No,
I don't know if that makes sense. It's like how people have like
Yeah.
a stage name.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
like, it's something to like, it just feels a little more laid back or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it like slightly grates at me every time I hear it. Slightly. Ever so slightly.
My parents say the same thing.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm dead serious. My parents hate it when people call me Cam.
Wow.
Yeah. They're like, your name is Cameron.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
They gave you that name for a reason. Or
yes.
Whoever did.
My parents gave me that name.
Okay.
That wasn't my first name. They gave me that one.
Okay.
I am sometimes like, thanks for that weird boy name.
It is a different name.
Mom and Dad.
But either way, it's your name, and so...
Yes, and they're like, oh, you're Cameron. Yeah, it's kind of something I'm like, I think I'm like, it's like a weird... I'm having some full circle moments where I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm Cameron again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like more myself now. So maybe now I'm Cameron.
You really have been. I feel like you've been... And I haven't even known you that long, by the way.
Yeah.
But we...
No, but you
Yeah.
came into my life when I was like at a crossroads where I was like something was happening.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's just like... I do think names are important. I think, like, for example, my sister, her name is Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. That people love to do Liz, Lizzie, Lizbeth, all that kind of stuff. She hates it. And she'll usually correct them and just say, like, hey, it's Elizabeth. And it's very uncomfortable, but she still... Because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to have a name like Sarah. Mm-hmm. Who's going to call me Sarah or Ra? And if they do, they're dead. I will hurt them.
Or Sarah.
People have done that, and I just, like, am baffled by that. Or what they really try to do, and this is, like, a pet peeve of mine, they try to call me Sloan, my last name. And
Girl, you ain't no Sloan.
I hate that crap. I don't even know why I get so mad about it.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I get so mad about that. And I don't even know why it bothers me so much. There was a point where I remember I was working at this summer camp, and all these girls were doing it, and I did the whole, like, shaking, like, don't call me that kind of a thing, and it was very uncomfortable. Everybody got, like, quiet. But I, like, was losing it. Because, I just feel like names are so important.
Well, it's like the, are you familiar with The Crucible at all? The play?
It's a play.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a play. It's about, like, the Salem witch trials, but it was more of, like, what's the word for it? An allegory? No. Dub over whatever I'm saying. Anyway.
It's
a
parallel?
Yes, it was like at the time when the play was written, it was like a parallel for like what was happening in Hollywood with the House of Un-American Activities, which was like basically they would blacklist people for being communists, which is very interesting.
The McCarthy trials.
Yes, the McCarthy trials. Yes, so it's like about that how like
Lucille Ball was also
really.
She was one that was accused.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's very interesting.
And I also forgot that that's what The Crucible was about, the McCarthy trials.
Yeah, it was about the McCarthy trials.
Wow.
It was like written directly about that because it was like, okay, this is just a witch hunt. But in the, the fatal flaw of the protagonist, John Proctor, is that he won't tarnish his name. Like, he would rather die than tarnish his name. Like, have like, he says something where it's like, when they're like, just confess that you were a witch and all is well, or like if I can't remember. I haven't read the play in a really long time, but he has a line where he's like, where he like breaks down basically, and he's like, because it's my name, because I will not have another in my life. Like his name is so important that he would rather die for it.
Dang.
And I think that's interesting. So yes, names are important. Names are important.
Well, okay, and then also I do like something that I've learned here in Austin, just like being here, I've realized your brand is important. Mm-hmm. The overall look that you have. Mm-hmm. And so I do believe that Cam as a girl is not interesting. Yeah. I believe Cameron as a girl is very interesting. It's a surprise. You're brought up to the stage. Cameron.
Yeah.
Is it Rouse or Rouse?
It's Rouse.
Rouse, okay. You said it in like such a way. Yeah, like that.
It's Rouse. Yeah, like,
Rouse.
well, that's like a name thing, you know?
No, it is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No, and I always want to get it right. And so even if I have to like ask every time, I'd rather ask every time to get it right.
Yes.
But still.
I'm the same way. I do the same thing with people's names. Like, if I can't pronounce someone's name, like, I'm like, hey, what up? I'm sorry.
But yeah, if you're brought up to the stage, no one's going to expect you. Then they will remember that.
Yeah.
And they'll remember that it was you that was Cameron.
That's very nice to know.
If it's Cam,
that's good feedback.
No one's going to remember that.
Yes. I'm getting over that now. Like a couple weeks ago, when I was doing an open mic and Colin wrote Cameron, I made him cross it out. Like, it was very weird. I was like, no. And I made him rewrite it to Cam. But I think that's because, like, the last time I did an open mic was when I was kind of going through the stuff where I was, like, really, like, shy and nervous and scared and overthinking things.
Yeah.
So I need to die behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I don't feel that way now.
Yeah, I really think you should drop the Cam. Like, just
I should.
Like,
well, no, I should add the Iran.
Just make it Iran. Just Iran. Iran.
When I was a kid, I had like wood letters that I put on all my books that spelled my name, Cameron, on them. You know, like when you're in like middle school and you decorate your school books. Did you guys do that in America?
We were normal, but yeah, what'd you do?
I like put wood letters that said Cameron, and my name fell off and it just said Ron.
Have you heard of the...
So I was Ron Rouse.
Oh, that's awkward. Have you heard of the Iran nuclear deal?
That was hilarious. Are you dying?
You wish I were.
What other questions do you have?
Oh, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, keep going. I'm liking this. I'm not disliking it.
Okay, yeah, the way you asked it was like...
No, sorry, it got awkward. I took my shoes off. Is that okay?
That means you're getting comfortable.
I hate wearing shoes.
No, to be very honest with you, I really like doing this, and that's why, basically it was like 2 out of 3 of the years of podcast. Oh, yeah, now I guess we're at 4. Yeah, I didn't think about it. We're at 4 years now. Like the 2 years that I've been doing video podcasting, I have missed having a guest on, but I was just so worried about the technical element and how complicated it could get. And I was just like, listen, this was me in my mind. Cameron knows video. She knows all this kind of stuff. If anyone's a safer person to do it with, it's going to be her. So just go ahead, just get out of the way. Let's just figure it the freak out. And then I'll just get better and better from here. I'll have you on again. If you're okay with that.
Yeah.
You're okay with it?
That's fine with me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only if your viewers, they give me fan mail.
Yeah, I don't have that many.
But all of them have to write me fan mail. And that is the way that I will come back on, is if I get likes, follows, fan mail.
You know, it's just, you killed a good thing. And we really were having something going on right here that I was excited about.
Invisible watch.
Oh, now you're checking. Okay, George Bush. Hey, George Bush on the debate stage. Major reason why he lost. No. I was going to ask.
That's the reason he lost?
It was a huge part of it. You know, so he's there. He's at a very important event. Oh, okay. Yeah, keep on going. It was a very important event. He just checks his watch.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. That was pretty bad.
That was not a good look, dude.
That's a sign.
But you don't even wear a watch.
I actually do have a watch, but it's a really nice watch, and I get scared to wear it, which defeats the purpose of having a nice watch.
You gotta wear it. Like,
I get to wear it.
I get what you're saying. I
get worried about like scratching it, or like, I don't know, it falling off, or someone stealing my hand, someone cutting off my hand.
I was very tempted the other day. I saw you and I was like, my impulse was, let's cut off your hand.
Yeah, intrusive thoughts. I'm just like, what if someone cut off my hand?
Yeah, no.
Because they wanted my watch.
Are you a kind of person that you have a taste for finer things?
Yeah.
And what are some that come to mind whenever
I like
thinking?
I like going out for food.
Yeah.
I love a nice meal. I like having a nice meal. And I think that's how I like bond with people, is like going out for food, and like I love trying new food.
Oh, it's so
That's, like,
fun, dude.
Yeah, that's like so much fun for me. So I like sitting and like enjoying food. I like to travel. I like having nice things. Like I wouldn't say that I would not consider myself materialistic, but I like things of a higher quality. Like I wouldn't buy fast fashion. Like I just, that's not in me. Like
Yeah.
I just wouldn't go to like, I wouldn't go to like a store that's like made in China stuff and buy something like that. I like quality items, and I like things made in America, and I work for a company that's like made in America, and that's like the whole brand ethos, and so I like live and breathe that every day. So I appreciate the quality of an item. And like I do think about like the fact too about like I don't really like supporting something where I know that someone's not getting paid fairly, and then
So then instead, just make sure they get nothing. Because it's better to have nothing than just a little bit of pay.
okay, well when you put it like that. But no, I just don't like doing that.
No, I was joking. I promise I was kidding.
No, but that's actually a really good point that I hadn't thought about. Like, that's actually like that's an interesting moral question and dilemma of like, if you don't do that, they have no money.
Yeah, no, it's tough. The whole situation is so tough.
So
yeah,
what means I should buy things made in China. But I also don't want to support that. Like, I don't want to support our
and especially their government. Like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's got it figured out. And the people that act like they do are the ones that I don't want to listen to. The people that are like you, that are open-minded, are the people that I respect.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think, like, I don't know, this is, like, something that I've just been very, like, interested in. But I do, when you think about, like a product... And I know that this is such a tangent from what you asked me as well.
Yeah,
like, I am aware of it. But when you think of a product and you think of like, okay, where are the buttons from? Where's the hardware on the pants that you're wearing from? Like, who made that? And like a lot of those things don't come from the US. And so when like there is something where like every little thing is from the US, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I think that is cool.
Yeah.
But typically it's going to cost a lot more, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
yes.
it is
yes,
what
it does. Well, and that's also because we've outsourced for so long that like it's made it very expensive here, and we just like we don't have like for example, Americans are really bad at making zippers. Like we're really bad at making zips. Like that's like for whatever reason that's a very hard thing for us to do.
Yeah.
But like it'd be cool to be able to make a zip again. Yeah.
YKK.
Yeah.
That's the zipper company, right? The
YKK, yeah.
The most famous one.
Yuck.
Where do they make that?
I think, I don't know. You'll have to check that one.
Okay.
You can add it under here.
Yeah, keep on telling me how to run my podcast. I love that.
You're welcome. Anyway, that was my tangent about fast fashion versus products.
But no, you were okay. The original question,
taste for finer things.
Yeah,
I still remember.
Okay, you do. Okay, because I couldn't tell.
Yes.
No, I actually really.
I'm a snob.
By the way, I do not mind tangents. I actually really like them, but it is kind of a funny bit that we keep.
It is. I do like.
I hope you know.
I know it's a bit, and I like it.
Okay.
I like it because I still knew where we were. I was just like, oh, Sarah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Did you know that zips aren't made in America?
Well, no, I know a little bit about zippers, remember, because of my interest in bags.
Yes, that's right.
And then, okay, what's been so fun lately, though, is watching the process of, I bought this backpack, and watching the process of it being built. So the guy is, like, sharing stuff in the factory and everything. And then that's where it's kind of interesting, because I'm getting to see these Asians work on the bags.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but they don't look that upset to me. They look like they're respectable and they're enjoying their jobs. And he's treating them like human beings. He's just like, okay, so we had a meeting. They decided that they're going to talk to their workers about, we got to sew this a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's got to be tighter.
Yeah.
And I respect it when they're doing it. And I'm saying, I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
And so then whenever people are just like, we got to do everything in America.
It's
tough.
not
It's
everything. Like, and it's just about like finding things that like have ethical practices. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, we can't outsource overseas at all. No, it's just, I think it's just important that it's like ethical. Like, I don't want to buy something that's in a sweatshop with kids like slaving away and not having a childhood and making a sock.
Yeah.
Make 1,000 socks a day.
Yeah, and then ultimately it's
That's
like,
crazy.
why are we outsourcing? Why can't we have those jobs done in the U.S. and give back to our own people and our own economy, especially whenever we have such insane amounts of debt?
Yes.
And so, no, in principle, I am totally for what you're saying.
Or there's like also like businesses in America too that like I think are really important that like, you know, we're at risk of going out of business and have been saved because of companies that do want to make things in America that are like kind of very historical. Like there's a cool company called Family Heirloom Weavers, which like they weave things on like Civil War era looms, which I think is very interesting. It's sort of looms that made like the rugs in the Oval Office and like things like that.
Whoa.
Like things that have textiles
sick.
that have been around forever that I think are very like an important part of our history.
Yeah.
And I think like all that, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that stuff to me is very, I like history a lot. And I think that those things are very important. Like I want to support a business that has those looms and are still using those looms.
And if they don't end up doing that, are you going to have some gloom?
Yeah, I'll be glooming over them looms.
Gloom over them looms.
That's how I'll feel.
I wanted to ask as well, do you, as far as the finer things, art?
No, I don't like it.
Okay, so you're not,
No, I'm not an art person.
Okay. No, that's interesting.
I like photography. I like the photos that people take.
And so like you would go and like spend $500 on a big photo to put in your house?
No, never.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
And that was my question.
No. I would spend money on a historical item that I found interesting and would maybe frame it.
Okay.
Like maybe
like going to an antique shop and all that.
Yeah, like if they're like those in my house there's those big bandanas with like the rodeo cowboys on them. And I have 2 of those in my house.
Oh, cool.
And those I love, and they're vintage, and they weren't like horribly expensive, but you know, it's like $150, $250 or something like that. Which to me isn't like cheap at this point in my life, but I really love those because they used to be bandanas that they handed out at rodeos in the 1920s. And I think that's cool.
That is cool.
That's what they handed out. And they're like so interesting. So
okay, so antiques.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Whenever I was really trying to decide on living here or not, the other place that I was potentially going to go to was Dallas, and I was going to potentially work for this museum, and they have all kinds of really cool stuff there. They have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They have the certificate that was used in the movie.
Oh, that's
they
sick.
have Katniss's bow from the
awesome.
Hunger Games. In another part, they have the mirror that Lucy used for I Love Lucy.
Wow.
They have some Star Wars stuff as well.
That's cool.
And then they have like letters from Hitler and stuff like that. Which
Wow.
I would be salivating over. But and then I would essentially in the job like give tours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all that. Ultimately, I knew that wasn't the path for me, but that was almost where I was going to go at this point in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, antiques. I went on my own tangent.
No, but I think that I love. It's so interesting that you say that because I've been thinking about the next trip that I want to do is I want to go somewhere and do museum tours. Like that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I just want to go somewhere where there's a lot of museums. I don't know why. Whenever I'm like when I have time off of work, lately, like the best way for me to shut off is to learn.
Wow.
And I like going to museums to learn. Like I just went to, we just went out to Marfa because I had like a 3-day weekend, and we went to Fort Davis where they have like an old fort, and it's very well preserved, and it's a museum. It's like a national park, but there's like a bit of a museum, and it kind of tells you about what life was like. Yeah. And I was just like blown away by it. Like that learning about history is like, that's very interesting to me. And I like museums and I like old things, but I don't care about art. I don't care about looking at art.
So what about museums filled with art?
I can go, but I'm not going to be like wowed like I am at like a history museum.
You really should go to Dallas then, because so that place is called, the place I'm talking about, the American Journey Experience. And then, but nearby they have cool. the Presidential Library, Bush. Mm-hmm. And so then that's another one right there. And then I'm pretty sure in Dallas they also have the JFK thing.
They do, because he was shot there.
We don't have to keep on talking about it.
Well, I'm just telling you that's historically that's why that would be there.
You love talking about that, is what I've noticed. I'm starting to wonder, like, where were you when he was shot?
I'm not alive.
Oh, okay.
But if you believe in reincarnation, you're looking at JFK.
Hey, Lee, Harvey, Oswald, hey.
Hi.
But yeah, I'm just saying that's
I would like to go. Maybe I'll go to Dallas. Maybe that's what I'll do.
Yeah, and then there's
fun.
There's more than just that. Those are just the ones I know of.
I have a 3-day weekend next week, so I might actually, maybe that's what I'll do.
Hey, 3-day week. And then there's it's not too far away either. It's so crazy thinking about that. But it was kind of cool because I was really planning, if I was going to move there, I was really planning on going to one church. And then right around the time that I moved here, major controversy happens with the head pastor.
Wow.
A sex scandal.
Whoa.
And so in my opinion, I love the church still. I'm always going to have a heart for anything that's benefiting the kingdom and all that. But that church is dead now.
Yeah.
In my mind.
I get you.
And I would have been there right when that was happening.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, me being here is so from God. It's insane.
Oh, I believe in that stuff too. I know we've talked about it before off the air. But even though I don't practice a religion or anything like that, but I fully believe that every little thing happens for a reason, and you are 100% led to where you are now. You being in Austin, all those things had to happen in order for you to choose Austin. And I feel the same way about my the story of how I was adopted. It's crazy, all those little things that are at play that I was able to find my family in the process. And then even when I think about all the things that led me to comedy now, I'm oh, that's always been the path. It's just interesting. The path is paved for you, and it's I think that's what's when you experience resistance in your life, that's because you're not following the path. Does that make sense? I don't know what that's in the Bible, but if it says anything about
there's the belief of free will. And so then, but then that's there's free will, but yet God is omniscient and he knows everything that will ever happen. And so then it's that's always a big debate in the Christian world. It's how do you deal with that? And obviously it's one of those, if I knew the answer, I'd be God myself, but so we will never know. But I still do believe in free will. And in those moments, you're right, the path is paved, but there's some major decisions sometimes that I encounter. I do have one in mind right now that I won't talk about, but I'm trying to decide right now through prayer and everything else, which route do I go? and it's a very sensitive thing. You know what I mean? So
Well, is it like because I was thinking about this today. Is it like because I find like I guess like resistance when I'm saying resistance, and then I like unpack like what I'm feeling like why am I resisting, and if I look at it and it's like, well, I'm experiencing jealousy is the emotion, and I'm experiencing greed, or like it often seems to me that like the things that I'm experiencing are sins. So is it like, again, like I don't know if this is it, but like when you're following the path, like you're distracted by sin. Is that a thing?
Yeah, no, like there's certainly been like, you know, many sins in my life where it's like, but that's so easy. That's so obvious. You know, it's like, okay, don't do that anymore. You know, so it's not necessarily that. It's where it's not 100% clear if it's a sin or not. Is it right for me to continue on with whatever this might be?
I understand you.
Yeah. So
yes, I get you.
And then sometimes it's, should I associate with this person anymore? And so that's not necessarily a sin.
Interesting.
But I'm trying to decide.
Interesting. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's happened all throughout my life where, like, yeah, I'm going to be very honest. It's should I continue on with a certain person in my life anymore, or should I let them go?
Very interesting.
But that could that could affect things in your life. Like,
yeah.
if you continue on with that person.
Absolutely.
And that person is you, so.
Wow, intervention.
That person is you.
Should I go now?
No, this isn't over.
Okay, we can keep going.
Okay.
I'm actually enjoying this, so if you could actually save this to the end, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I just like...
That's like, that works out better for me.
Okay, yeah, because it's all about you.
Right now, yeah, I'm your guest. It's about...
Oh, it is about... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I feel so stupid right now.
You should.
Okay, another thing I wanted to ask.
What is it?
You are a person that you are very good with a lot of people. You, I think it's easy for you to relate well to people, and would you say, like, they typically pursue you? Or do you pursue them?
I don't know. That's an interesting, like, in what context? Like, do you...
Oh, I meant friendship. I didn't
mean...
Like,
it as friendships?
Yeah, I didn't mean... I don't really...
Well, I just was wondering if you meant, like as friendships, or, like, I don't know. I meant, like, the context in, like day-to-day life, or I don't know. But friendships... No, I think it's even. Like, I think it's... I mean, as I've gotten older, I think it's different because I'm not as, like, outwardly extroverted anymore. And as you know, like, one of my biggest fear is, like, being in people's way and, like, people thinking that I'm annoying and, like, people not liking me. So, and that not being from the point of view of, like, oh, they don't like who I am. It's from a point of view of like, I don't ever want to feel like I'm in someone's way. Like, I'm in the way of someone's path, or, like, I'm a distraction, or, like... So I think from that perspective, I do typically let people approach me friendship-wise. And I think the same thing with work relationships. I probably usually let people approach me in certain environments because of that fear, too. But I am getting over that fear, so I am now... stepping out of my comfort zone to maybe approach people because I can recognize in someone, like, oh, they feel like this. Like, I can see that they're nervous, so I have to be the one to approach. Does that make sense? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, but that was just one facet of what I was asking.
Okay.
But you answered that very well. And then, to give, like, more context, like, I would say a good example is my sister... people pursue the crap out of her. She usually has to, like, fend off friends. Versus me, I don't know if my issue is that I'm just maybe my standards are too high or something. no, that wouldn't make any sense with what I'm about to say. But people aren't typically pursuing me. I have to pursue the friendships that I'm going for. But no, with you though, what I wanted to know was, is like how many people do you let like into your circle versus like acquaintances? Like, there's,
yeah, that's actually a really good question, because I talk about this with people that I'm close with a lot. You know about like the 3 circles? Okay, so you have your inner circle. Then you have on the outside of that is like the people that you do share a deeper connection with, but they're not quite your inner circle yet.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
They're in like the middle. And then the 3rd circle is more like acquaintances that are in your life. Maybe they're like work relationships, or they're creative pursuits. Like they're in your life in like a heavier way, but they don't know you. I used to not have boundaries for myself, and did not set boundaries with other people, and often let people like walk all over me. My circles weren't strong. My circles weren't clear. So everybody knew everything about me in a way that was not healthy for me. So and it's actually, this is very cringy, but it was a very like profound moment in my life. I had gone through a very, very horrible breakup, and my parents sent me to a Tony Robbins seminar in 2019, the end of 2019. They sent me to a Tony Robbins seminar, and during the course of that, like we did like, you know, goal setting and things like that. But the most important and valuable thing that I took from that was like the importance of knowing like your core values and setting up boundaries of like what you will allow into your life and what you will not allow into your life.
Wow.
And it took me a couple years, but I'm now at a point where I'm like very, very strong on what my like core beliefs are, what my boundaries are with friendship, with work, and this kind of goes back to like what I was talking about earlier with acting and everything. Like I'm doing it on my terms, and same with comedy. Like a few weeks ago when I was doing the open mics and I could sense myself getting too anxious and too nervous and caring too much about what other people thought and letting the words of other people affect me, I have to take a break. I have to step back, because this isn't aligning with where I'm at right now and the boundaries I've set for myself. So I'm allowing too much negativity to infiltrate my life.
Yeah.
So I've gotten very good at setting those boundaries for myself. And the inner circles, like I do every couple months, I will like draw a circle, and I'll write all those people in.
That is fascinating.
Like, okay, like, so I know like this is my inner circle, this is my middle circle, this is my outer circle. And interestingly, actually, I got the circle thing from back when I was acting, because you used to do it for characters. Like for the character that you're playing, you would write like, oh, who's the other characters in the play or the movie, like who's the inner circle, who's the middle circle, who's the outer circle, and the characters. And I was like, that's really good for life. So yeah, anyway, the Tony Robbins seminar really allowed me to like set that up, which is why I think I have like deeper connections with like friends and stuff now. And like, it's also, I think, why I'm able to like better participate in the world, because those boundaries and those circles are clear.
Dang.
If that makes sense.
No, I really like that. Dang, that's very deep too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, well, the scariest part too is there's some people that, I don't know how to say it, they're easy. Like, like everything's fine with them, everything's easy, but you don't get the deep connection with them, and it will never happen. Then there's some people where they are difficult, and but but they can latch on to your deeper self somehow, some way. I don't know how to tangibly explain this.
I know what you're talking about because I used to be like that too. And I think I often like look at it like, okay, like it's not this person that is necessarily upsetting me. It's that I'm not like following my boundaries.
Wow.
And so and I haven't set my boundaries clear enough. Or sometimes it is that you've set your boundaries clear enough and this person crosses the line, but you're not able to like set your emotional side and go, okay, like if I was you in this situation and someone was like affecting me, there's a point where I go, okay, no, and I don't have to say it to them. It's a no for myself of like, this person stays on the out circle and they don't get to infiltrate my core circles.
Wow.
And it's a boundary that takes time. Like the circle boundaries, they take time. But once you know them, and that's why I write them down too, is so like I can go like, this person stays here. They don't get this part of me. And sometimes you have to like define your circles, like what you mean by your inner, your outer, and your out, like the bigger one.
Yeah.
But it is a weird thing. It's like you have to set a boundary, like an inner boundary for yourself of like, I'm not going to let that person affect me negatively. Because you are responsible. It's the same thing like in comedy. Like it's that person's responsibility if they're offended. It's not your responsibility if someone's offended. That person is in charge of their own emotions, and it is a choice to be offended or to not be offended. It's the same thing with people being affected in friendships. It's like it's your choice to take that on in a negative way.
Oh, wow.
Like you can actually set an emotional barrier for yourself of like, I'm not going to let that person affect me. Does that make sense? Does that answer your...
That is very good. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that.
That's how I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a very healthy way to do it. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's not every person.
No.
It's very rare, but then whenever it happens, it really happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very pervasive.
Yeah.
And very frustrating. And it's just like, it ebbs and flows, but there's always like that one person, and they do affect me. Mm-hmm. And I hate to admit it, but they do. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I can't. And that's the thing. I know it's not all them. I know it's me, because otherwise, like, why don't they affect another person?
Well, and sometimes people affect you because there's something about another person that either like everything's a mirror, you know? I really believe that. Like, if you see something that someone's doing that you don't like, sometimes it's actually maybe something about yourself that you're seeing in this person that you don't like. Like, I don't know, maybe you're like, this person talks too much. They're talking over me too much. And maybe you like look at that and you're like, well, maybe I do that. Like, and I've recognized that in myself with other people before, where they possess a quality that I don't like, and it's often a quality that I possess.
No, yeah, I have literally experienced that, where I remember there was this guy, and he was like so boisterous, so funny and everything, and I was just like, would he just shut up? I was literally him, and I was just jealous of him, and I knew, and I could see it.
It's very it's weird, but stuff like that happens. Like or sometimes it's I don't know, like I definitely I'm trying to think of a thing that I'm like dealing with right now that maybe is like a relatable thing.
Yeah, because with you, I don't know. Like, for me, it's obvious. It's just loud, obnoxious, funny. But I've actually gotten a lot better with that, by the way. I'm not really like... once I kind of realized I recognize that in people, I decided to start just finding them amusing. And now I'm pretty chill with it. And I kind of step back and I laugh.
See, I think my boundaries with people, I've like learned that now. Like I've figured that out. I think like where I recognize things that I don't like in, I don't know, maybe it's like situations or something, or no, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I give up. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Oh no.
It made no sense what I was trying to say.
No, Cameron, don't give up.
Make any sense.
Have you ever, okay, so it
Yes.
it almost makes me think of the movie Gigi. Have you seen it? Gigi, you know, like the musical.
Audrey Hepburn. No?
No.
I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
it's in that era.
Okay.
You gotta watch it one time. It's very good.
Gigi.
And I don't even remember it fully, which is kind of embarrassing because I'm using it as an
It's
example.
okay.
But she's a younger girl, and she has this friend that's like, you know, like probably like mid-20s, and so they just had this very like sibling relationship, and then there's a point where she grows up, and then he sees her in a totally new light, and that's when he sings the song Gigi, and he's just like in love with her, and because she went from this to that, but really she was that all along. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, I think it's such a fun thing whenever you can like see someone in a totally new light.
Yeah.
And it's like, they were that same person, but you have a newfound appreciation for them. They didn't change, you changed.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's
I
so,
often think that is, I mean, there's people that I'm friends with now that I know in the past I would have never been friends with because of my judgment of that person, my perception of that
like
person.
maybe you couldn't even almost like fully appreciate them.
Yes, because I mean, I can think of someone in my life that I used to like just mull over, like going like, I just don't like this person. I don't know why I don't like this person. They're annoying. They're weird. They do weird things. They're over the top. She used to. Her name's Lily. Very important person in my life now, but she was so beautiful, and that made me mad. And she was so goofy, and it made me mad that she was able to be goofy because she was so beautiful. And I was like, those, like in my immature brain, I was like, those two things can't exist together.
Oh, that's funny.
And she just tries everything, and it fails, but everybody laughs because it's still funny because she's failing. But I used to like mull over this, and I had such jealousy about it, and I would compare myself to this person, and it would like really affect me, like quite genuinely, like it would really affect me to the point where I was like, maybe sometimes I was mean to this girl, and like all of the, like, you know, just classic, I was 18 and she was a little older than me, but so I just didn't have the emotional maturity, and she's obviously changed as life has gone on, but I'm able to appreciate her now because I've changed, because I'm mature enough now to turn that jealousy that I had into admiration of like, I want to be more like that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to be goofy and silly and not care what other people think of me. And often, like, in comedy stuff now, or like doing Absolute Show and stuff like that, I often think of this person because I'm like, I'm being more like this person now, which to me is like a really beautiful thing. Like, because that was someone I was so jealous of and had such negative emotions about. And now I deeply admire the person that she is and was back then. Like I am very much so able to appreciate her.
Well, yeah, it's like, and I've actually heard a good strategy on dealing with comparison issues is you're obviously having a thought in your mind. So for you, Lily, beautiful and goofy. And so instead of just stewing on that, you go to that person and you say, hey, I just want to tell you, I so admire how beautiful you are and how goofy you are. And it's almost like you release it.
I do that now. The second I experience jealousy now, I do that. Like, that's very important for me to do, because I am someone who maybe has like a tendency to be jealous about something, but I now have the emotional maturity to check my jealousy and turn it into that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important, because I often think like that person doesn't feel that way about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a point where you guys can actually connect with that person about that.
We all need
Yeah.
encouragement. Like,
Yes.
yeah. And so, yeah, I don't always practice that, but I try to. And then, well, yeah, because the jealousy thing is real. And especially in the world of comedy, you know, you're watching somebody and they're killing on stage, and you, like, it can so easily, like, it can go so many ways, and the bad ways are so embarrassing to verbalize. They're being successful on stage. They're making people laugh. I hate that. That's embarrassing to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so instead you're just like, that's so cool that they did that, and they're getting the crowd ready for me. You know, like, you know, it's almost like that. Like, you can twist it in any way. But I so admire the way that you saw Lily in a different light.
Definitely. Well, and I think I do think it's interesting that I think about, like, I can like specifically think of things that Lily did that I was jealous of. Like I went to drama school with this person, and we did Midsummer Night's Dream, and she was one of the players, and she was the wall in I don't know if you're familiar, but they do, like, there's a theater group in the play, so it's like a play within the play, and they do the play. And she was so funny, and I was like jealous of her physicality, and like how the simplest things were very funny, and I was very jealous of that. And it's just interesting, like, I often think about that now. If I experience jealousy, I'm like, I try to transport myself to that time and how, like, unproductive it was to be jealous. And, like, jealousy just poisons everything. Like, it really is a poison. Like, and that's been nice about doing comedy now, is I've not yet experienced jealousy. I've experienced, like, I don't know, the Absolute Show is a very good example of, like, I really thought that I was done with, like, acting and everything, because I had really tarnished it for myself, and I really just, like, I screwed up because I lacked the emotional maturity, because I was comparing myself to others. I was jealous. I was greedy. I was not present, and I poisoned the thing that I loved. And then I went to the Absolute Show in February, and I had so much fun, and I was drunk when I saw the show, and I messaged Lucas, and I was just like, hey, if you ever need any help, like, I'm always happy to help. And then the next day I woke up, and Lucas responded to me, and I was so shocked, and I didn't know how to respond, and then I burst into tears. I like it was like, and this is so embarrassing to say, but like, it was years and years of, like, grief and sorrow and jealousy, and I, like, remember calling my mom and, like, trying to, like, dissect what I was feeling, because I was like, why am I crying about this? This is, like, insane, like, uncontrollably sobbing. And it was because when I was in high school, I wrote and did a play with my best friend, and it was a really funny play. And I, like, this doesn't matter, but, like, it did very well, and I got, like, awards, and I got money to continue doing this play. And it was, like, the happiest time of my life. It was the most authentic I ever was, and the most fun I had ever had. And watching the Absolute Show made me feel like that version of myself again. Like, I felt like that version of myself is possible. And doing, I don't know, I think, like, Lucas, like, responding, which, like, one is, like, an incredible sign of, like, someone not having an ego. Like, I think that that's, like, a very, like Lucas is very welcoming to anyone who offers help, which I think is really admirable. Like, I really admire that quality in Lucas. I I think that like being on that, like being a part of that show in whatever capacity I'm involved in, is like everything is very open and everything is like supportive and everything is very forgiving and everything is very like loving, and there's it's a shared joy rather than like a shared vision of we must get to this point. It's like they enjoy every step of the way, and that like being around that and feeling like a kid again has made me like really look at all the times where I'm like, my jealousy got in the way, my ego got in the way, my whatever got in the way, and it's nice to now like just sit back and admire something. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I do often think about this person Lily, because it all feels very connected, and that's like, you know, back to you talking about how everything feels like everything's happened for a reason. Like I feel like I'm on a weird like healing journey in a sense right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm connecting to my child self, and I've learned from all my past mistakes, and I'm actively avoiding making those mistakes again. Because if I feel it, I acknowledge it, and it's really nice to just like enjoy comedy right now. And there's no ego attached. There's no nothing. Like it's just fun. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, the original question was, what luxury goods do you?
Yeah, like what a luxury.
No, I think that's really cool. Yeah, and yeah, you do the acting on the show, and you are very yourself, and it's very entertaining to watch. Yeah, I think everybody in the crowd kind of like recognizes that, yeah, what you have is something special, and it's only like, it seems like it's such a weird way that that's the way that you're getting to do your acting. You know, it's weird,
Yeah.
but it's cool. And then the other thing I think of all the time is I do hope. I do have a personal hope that you will, quote unquote, make it. And I know everyone has different definitions of what that means, but I see so many people that have, quote unquote, made it, and they suck. And you see that, not on the movie or whatever they're doing, but in the interviews and stuff like that. They suck. And they're not great people. But I think you are a really good person, and you have a good sense of humor. And we see a lot of these actors that don't have good senses of humor, or they think they do, and it's really actually demented humor. Yeah, like it's just messed up. And so you're becoming a whole better person.
It's just interesting to me because I think if I was approaching comedy in the way that I was approaching acting, I would not be having fun right now. And I wouldn't think that I was successful. And not that I think that I'm successful, but like
No,
I'm
you
proud
are.
of myself, but I'm like proud of myself right now.
Oh yeah, and sorry, audience, my phone died and it's charging right now. I'm learning through, that's why I said the technical stuff with guests is a real thing.
Hope you enjoyed those photos of me.
And let's just say you're gonna hear some audio of us both going to the restroom and peeing like horses.
There's a lot in there.
There really was.
A lot in there.
Yeah, a lot. So now we're talking about a video we watched that was about kind of drama at a comedy club. And I had sent the video to Cameron because I found it to be very interesting. And so that's where we're picking up on the conversation now.
Yes, good clarification there, Sarah. I appreciate that.
Anytime.
I appreciate the explanation of what I was talking about. But it just made me think about like I'm proud of myself right now, and if past me would not be proud of themselves right now because I would be endgaming everything. I'd be thinking like, well, what's the end game solution to all of this? So like, why am I doing this? What is this? What's the greater purpose of this for? But I'm able to enjoy it, and I'm very. I think like a lot of my imposter syndrome that I was feeling a few weeks ago comes from like I've been able to change it into like I'm very honored to be where I'm at right now in terms of where, and it's not even like where I'm at, because I don't want it to sound like an egotistical, like I'm so great, because I don't think that. I'm saying for myself, I'm proud. I'm proud of where I'm at mentally and the things that I'm doing is really what I mean. Like, I'm proud of my mental state and the things that I'm doing right now. And I'm honored that I'm allowed to be a part of the process of specific endeavors. And I'm honored to be in a place like Austin, where the comedy scene for the most part is very open and supportive, and people are kind. Like, that's an honor to me. I'm like, that is what a thing to be grateful for. Yeah.
Instead of focusing on the problems of it,
yes,
the few problems there are,
yes,
instead focus on the positives of it.
Yes, yeah. Like, I don't even remember if I told you about this, but when I came and I ran into you when you were waiting for Kill Tony the other week, and I like hung out a little while just to like see what it was like. And I think it was when Ben Williams came out from off of the stage, and he was running around and saying, "This is the greatest night of my life." I'm emotional thinking about it. Like, I cried. Like, you saw me. Like, I got very teary. Like, I was very emotional about that. And I was emotional about how supportive people were when someone's name got called out.
Yeah.
And they went to go up on stage. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like such a beautiful experience. Like, I haven't ever experienced something like that. And I know that people are probably like, oh my God, it's just Killed Tony. Like, people are just all waiting there. But like, the act of like watching people wait together, knowing that anybody's life could change, or that could be like the starting point for something greater, it was just very beautiful. And like,
yeah.
And I talked to a lot of people about that, where I'm just like, God, that was like such a profound moment for me. Like, it was such a beautiful experience to see these people talking and like excited about the possibility of getting on stage. And I think like, as long as you focus on that, and you focus on like being grateful and having like gratitude of the fact that you live in Austin and every Monday you're able to go and wait outside. There's people that wait months to be able to fly out to Austin for the very little possibility of getting up on stage.
Yeah, you're right.
And what a blessing that you get to go every week.
No, it's true. It's true.
Like, that's something to be grateful for. That's that's like, yeah, it's very interesting to me. Like doing this, and not doing, because I'm not even really like doing it. I feel like I'm just experiencing it. It's just nice that I'm able to like experiencing it from a sense of like gratitude and like joy. Yeah.
That's super cool. No, it's it's comedy. Someone joked about this. It's a toxic relationship sometimes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be, and I think that's what I'm kind of battling with right now. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes I get a little bitter. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. I do see a person get pulled up, and I'm like, again, and I'm like, I wish I was pulled. But then I talked to my dad about it whenever I visited back home, and he was just like, Sarah, that's really a bad mindset. When you're pulled, you're going to be pulled, and you're going to be ready.
Yes.
And you're not ready right now.
What's not meant for you won't pass by you. So that moment wasn't meant for you. If it's meant for you, it will not pass by. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. There were a few weeks where I was just like angry. Mm-hmm. And I would just walk back to my apartment after 10:30 and just be so angry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now I'm kind of in a numb place where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm happy for you, but I'm not like you, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, like, which I think your reaction is the best reaction. I think it's going to take some time for me to get there.
Yeah, well, and it has to happen in a genuine way, because like I'll be honest, like if I was an outsider seeing someone like me, I'd be like, ew, what the heck?
But no,
is
I
that?
respect it, and it's
Like,
so real. Like what you're
yes,
feeling
it is
was
very real. Like it
Yeah.
is like it's very genuine.
Yeah.
But I can understand like if someone doesn't understand that emotion is possible, like it seems really fake.
I don't think anybody thought it was fake, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I promise. Yeah.
Because I'm like aware of that. I'm like, I look like an idiot. Like,
No. In fact, I thought like, what's wrong with me that I'm not feeling that way? I was thinking that, and I was like, I really respected the fact that you felt that way. But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some angel who is not, who's not capable of mean and pathetic thoughts like I have been having for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And so it has been a process. And the thing is, I need to accept that I'm in that place, and I can't deny it.
Yes.
And that's the only way I'm going to change. Yeah, I was talking to somebody else waiting for Kill Tony, and he was just like, he started kind of just like putting me in my place. He's like, "What do you want from this?" And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Whoa," and it was just like, I guess I want to get up on Kill Tony so that I can like accelerate my career. And he's like, "Why?" And I was just like,
yeah, it's not the end all be all.
yeah, and he really started showing that to me, and it was just like, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I just want to like leave my job so that I could do comedy more full time. And then I was thinking about that even, and I was just like, my job is awesome. I'm really grateful for the job that I have, and I know that it was a job that God gave to me. So I was like, what is it? Like, what is this urgency in me? And I realized it's kind of like a stupid urgency. And I really, like I said, I'm still kind of numb. So I'm like, it's in my brain. I know what the right thing is, but my heart is following. I know I am on that process, and I know it's going to take time. And so I just have to do it step by step. And so right now I'm in the immature phase. I think I came, and I was like, whenever I first came here, I was like in a very healthy, happy place.
Yeah.
And I think I got a little bitter and immature.
Yes.
And I think I now recognize it.
Yep.
And now I'm in a place where I can
and you set an I think this comes back to like what I was trying to talk to you about from like my experience of going through drama school of like not being present and end gaming is that you're focusing on the end game right now where you want to be.
Yeah.
And enjoy, as cheesy as it sounds, and I, you know, I've heard this my entire life and was always like, but enjoying the ride, being present, soaking in every moment, making connections, giving yourself like to other people's endeavors and successes is important. Yeah. And those things will be rewarded. And and not that you're doing them for rewards, but like those things, doing, I mean, it's like doing good for other people.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what they call that in the Bible, but I know that they like, that's important, is like what do unto others is
the golden rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, you're totally right.
And I do believe that like what you put out into the universe is what you will receive. It's what you will attract. Yeah. And like if you're putting out negative energy in your attitude toward comedy, those are the comedians that you will attract, which are probably not the comedians who are successful or are doing well. I mean, again, I look at some of the people who are doing well right now, and often they are very nice and they are very giving and thoughtful and kind. And I don't think that they're there at that point because they're doing well. I think that that's inherently who they've been.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I think that's important, is the energy you want to attract, you have to put out. Yeah, we all go to these open mics and it's just like, we're like, oh, let's do this again. And it's like, no, instead it's like each open mic is an opportunity to learn something about yourself, the crowd, your jokes, all that kind of stuff. And it truly is a gift. Yeah, and it is scary that I've just seen this like internal change in me that I've just like darkened. I've become like a dark person, like inside over the past few weeks. And I don't like that I've become that. But it's so funny that you feel this way, because you tell me so many things about what's going on in your life or an opportunity you've gotten. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Sarah, that's amazing. You've been here for only a month. That's incredible that that's happening for you. But then you kind of poo-poo that experience.
You're right.
And I think it's so cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've worked so hard for that, and you get that now. You get to go and experience that. You get, like, cherish those moments, because all those things will lead you to something even better. But, like, you got to take those things, be grateful for them, be happy about them. Because I think that for only being here a month, you're in a very successful position, and you're at an advantage to a lot of other people that I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or even the fact that you consistently get on the Mothership open mic. Like, I've heard several people say, like, oh my gosh, Sarah gets on so much. Like, that's so lucky. Like, there is so much to be
grateful for. Yeah. No, and it's like, and I love it. And it's like, why am I forgetting that love sometimes? And it's, I invited, so I got on the Creek in the Cave open mic, and I invited some friends to come and watch me this last Sunday, and coworkers. And I was like, so nervous before and everything, and I was like practicing the set and everything. And then I go up there, and I was just being myself. I was being weird. I was being wacky. I did all this like stupid stuff. I went way over my time, but I had so much fun. And it was like, and I know they had fun. The crowd had fun, and my friends specifically had fun. And they came up to me afterwards, and they were just like talking about, how well I did and all this stuff. And it was just like, that's what I have to remember. And it's like, I think it's all gratitude, and it's all like, slow and steady wins the race kind of a thing is what I've been feeling a lot, internalizing it, just like, and we really have to go that route, because I think we've seen people that were put on the top way before they were prepared, and it doesn't go well for them.
No, it doesn't.
And it's embarrassing for them, actually. So, and so it's much better whenever it's like, no, I put the work in, I put the preparation in, and it's like, if something happens, cool. If nothing happens, cool. But I know I'm ready for it. Yeah, and you're right. Like I've gotten on 4 times on the Mothership. That's
in the past month, or like
probably
month and a half, 2 months. You've been here. That's pretty amazing. Twice a month. Like,
no, it is.
That's
really cool.
awesome.
It's really cool. So and I've done well every time there for the most part. I'm not saying I did the best, but I did fine for me. And that's the other thing. I came from a small town doing mics once a week, and now I can do them at least 5 times a week, at least.
And that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so like cool. That's like really, that's again something to be grateful for. And not to like, because I know we have to wrap this up, but like I think if you just continue to stay curious, like I think that's like important, is like to just be like curious about about the world and things, and like not be jaded, not be bitter, not a negative emotion, but you can be curious about things. You can be like, well, why is that like that? Or why is this like this? Like, curiosity is cool, and being curious helps with jokes or whatever. And curiosity is good to have. Like, it's good to stay curious. I think, not saying positive, because I don't believe in toxic positivity, but I do believe in like just working on your energy, like making sure your energy is in a good place, so that you attract people that are at a same level of like good energy. I think things will happen for you, and they already are, but you just have to like be present and enjoy them. And that's why my goal is having fun. That's great. Our personalities, they have the Myers-Briggs, it has the N in it. And so the N is very much has trouble staying focused in the present, and is always looking ahead in the future. Yes.
The last year of me being in Tyler, Texas, I was just focused on moving the heck out of there. That's all I thought about. And so it's like, that really is an issue, but it can't be a crutch, obviously. And so it's like, yeah, I'm excited to change because I know I need to. And yeah, and I thank you for your words of encouragement.
Yeah.
Of encamerament. Cameron.
But you encourage me, I encourage you. That's what happens.
That's true.
If it weren't for my friendship with you, I would have never tried stand-up. Would have never tried it.
Oh, that's nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had done it once and was like, no, that's not for me. And then you encouraged it, and I went, okay, I'll go try it. Felt safe enough to do it because of your encouragement.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
So keep being that Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, because that's good.
Yeah.
Like, I like the Sarah who laughs loud.
Well, I can't do that.
And you can't do that anymore. But I like that. I like the version of you. I remember when I first met you and I asked you about, like, having a career in comedy and being a Christian and what that's like. And one of the things that you said was that, you know, when you were, like, talking about, like, when you make fun of someone, you always followed up with a compliment. Followed up with something that they did well.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first got to Austin, I thought that was what, like, so set you apart from other people, because you, like, really uplifted people. And, like, we would go to these open mics together, and people were, like, very hard and very, like, closed off and very, like, meh. And then you would come in and you were like a breath of fresh air. It was kind of like your attitude was like, what's up, you guys? Like, let's all be friends. Like, let's make this fun. Let's clap. Let's be, like, loud. And the open mics have changed drastically because of you, I think.
Oh, thanks.
Like, I really think that's, like, you came in with, like, this really wonderful energy, and I just don't want to ever see, like, you lose that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, like, super important.
Yeah.
And you need to, like, be that person. Even if you can't laugh as loud.
Yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to do that.
It's true.
But be that person. Be that version of yourself. Because that's what gets you the opportunities. That's what, like, makes you memorable. That's what makes you you. And, like, very distinctly you is that version.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and if anyone wants to know, like, Cameron and I met through the Absolute show, and it was amazing. Yeah, because the thing I liked about you was I thought you were already a comedian, but I was just like, you were so, like, professional and kind and, like, intentional. And so that for me was like, oh, like, she just seems like someone very stable. And then I figured out that you weren't a comedian.
And I wasn't stable.
No, you are. You really are.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like, obviously, like,
yeah.
We both have our weaknesses, but that's okay. Like,
yes, of course.
And we're gonna get over it. Like, honestly, I'm excited to see, like, how we are in a few months.
Yeah,
truthfully. But no, and it, like, yeah, you were just different, and yeah, I think it attracted me to you. And then we finally, like, hung out, and it was like it confirmed what I believed about you in a positive way, and yeah, I really hope that we can continue the friendship. In fact, it was pretty funny because yeah, you came over here and then you were talking about the hook holding up my map on the wall, and then you were saying that I have to be very, like, careful how I take it out, and then you were like, and I was like, okay, but how do I do it? And then you're like, just ask me. And then you said, even if we weren't friends, to still just ask you. And I'm just, like, picturing that, and I'm like, my lease is up, and I'm just like, Cameron, you promised it. You're like, totally, I'm coming over. Yeah. And then I'm just, like, sitting here awkwardly, just, like, watching. Yeah. I'm just watching you do it. And then you, like, take it down perfectly. And I'm just like, thank you so much. And you're like,
yeah,
anytime. And then you just walk on your way.
And then I like take a permanent marker out and I mark the wall or something.
Please.
Sarah sucks.
But no, okay, dude, it's like, yeah, literally, like, I was feeling so down for the past few weeks, and even just, like, this convo, it like, kind of brought me up again. I think that's why, like, people can't stay isolated. They have to, like, really pursue, like, good friendships, good quality friendships. Because that's the thing. I think I've been substituting good quality friendships for just poor acquaintances lately, and for sure it passes the time, and for sure it might meet that immediate social need, but it's not going to satisfy.
Yes.
And I think friends that are willing to challenge and willing to speak the truth.
It's important.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't like the pandering and the niceness, and it doesn't do anybody any good.
No.
So you've always been so far with me. You've always been very real, and so
Yeah, and I feel the same way about you. I mean, like, when I was freaking out the other week about a show, and you said to my boyfriend, like, I don't know how you put up with this. Like,
yeah.
But it was true, and it really made me reflect on. I thought I was doing everybody a service by being like, I don't want to be in everybody's way. I never want to be in someone's way, and I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job for everybody. But it was actually a very selfish emotion. Like, that was very selfish, because I was so concerned with myself that came from a selfish place, rather than setting aside, because that to me was actually ego. Like, I wanted to be perceived as professional and good and funny and whatever.
Which you already are, like, all of those things times 10. Like, you've been killing it, dude. So it's like, yeah, like, literally people are, like, recognizing you just for, like, something you did, like, that took up 2 minutes on a show. Like, that's nuts, dude. That's freaking cool. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where all this goes. But yeah, I am very grateful to have you in my life, and that was, part of the reason why I wanted you as the first video guest podcast, even with all the technical difficulties, and even with this episode.
That's okay. I'm going to send you 100 photos to fill up that gap.
Please do.
I will send you 100 photos.
Maybe don't.
I'll airdrop them right now. I'll just choose them.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Sarah Sloan Show. It's a great show, and thank you so much for putting up with my guest, even though she's a little stinky winky. You guys be safe on the roads, because they be crazy, because I'm on them. And I love you. Goodbye.